Hey folks, my name is Pravus and welcome to more Plague Inc. Evolved Custom Scenarios. I found one that I want to try out because it's got an interesting premise. It's Plague Inc., but it's 1938, created by Metal Sonk. A complete overhaul and rework of the Plague Inc. map to better reflect 1938, including environmental state medical budgets, sea and air routes, and so on. Also, Saudi Arabia has been butchered. What exactly that means, I don't know, but it sounds pretty great. Oh, have fun and praise Province. Didn't even know that I was referenced in this one, but I'm always happy to see it. We have a bacteria type today. ATP boost, Darwinist, oxidation file, and symptostasis seem perfectly fine. Screw it, mega brutal, and let's see what we can do. So don't start in Saudi Arabia, huh? 1 year before the German attack on Poland. I'm curious, are there going to be some World War II events here? There very well might be. You're playing on a reworked map, so your classic strategies won't work. Not going to be a good one. Try Europe or Asia. So real quick, let's just check. Okay, so like France, for example, the French Empire, which I don't think is necessarily the correct term for this in 1938, but okay, is not considered to be a wealthy country. In fact, nationalistic Spain is considered to be poor. Well, that's interesting. The British Empire makes sense to be wealthy. The United States absolutely does, and so does the German Reich. Right, okay. So should we start in a place like Poland and really make it so the Germans regret invading? Or do you want to start in a place like nationalistic Spain? I'm going to start in Spain. You know what? The rains in Spain fall mainly on the plain, and also you're all dead from disease. That sounds good to me. So we're going to start in a place that is once again used to the hot temperatures. It's poor, which means that its spreading should be fairly easy. I don't expect any changes when it comes to transmission symptoms and abilities. This is all going to be very, very normal stuff. So let's go ahead and go for a pretty normal setup over here. Start working toward things like those skin lesions, get some symptoms up and running before we infect a bunch of different countries so I can get some extra DNA points, and that extra gas helps me get going. But how connected is nationalistic Spain to the rest of the world? Unknown. Notice places like, by the way, Iceland and New Zealand do not have airports, which means getting into them is going to be a little bit tougher. So we really need to think about how we're going to get some water transmission going for us. For sure, that's the only way we're going to have a chance here. Let's grab some sneezing and stuff like that. I think I might actually go for some early cysts, abscesses, and stuff like that too, and just kind of really focus on getting some of that early severity. It's a bit risky. They may shut things down, but I think I have to try. From here on out, though, that's kind of enough severity, at least until I need anything else. Let's go for the air transmission, then probably things like water transmission, land transmission, and so on. So let me think here. So New Zealand, I don't remember exactly who they're connected to when it comes to boats. They have 0 modifiers on them, though. The Commonwealth of Australia is not considered to be wealthy. I mean, basically what this suggests to me is that getting drug resistance is a lot less important than it usually would be. We've got colonized Southeast Asia, thank you, France. We've got the British Raj, thank you, British. We've got Dutch misspelled. Oh, of all the people to misspell, you had to misspell the Dutch? My Dutch blood is boiling right now, I tell you, boiling! If it weren't underwater, under sea level. Anyway, okay, so let's go ahead and grab some level of air. I mean, Spain is considered to be arid and, you know, hot and stuff like that. So air transmission still does make sense just to get a little bit of extra speed going in our host country, but also getting out to other countries. So water would be probably good. I'm thinking maybe we want to go for things like bird. Are a lot of places considered to be urban? I mean, Poland is rural. Central Europe's nothing. Balkans rural. Italy is urban but not wealthy, blah, blah, blah. Baltic USSR, or... No, it's not, sorry, not USSR, it's just the Soviet Socialist Republics, because it's not properly united here, so no. Russian SSR, Kazakh, Finland. Yeah, not a lot of urban, there are some. So urban transmission is not as important as it would be. And the drug resistance is not as important. The French Republic, I'm sorry, I thought it was a French Empire, comes out of the Depression. They managed to get out of the economic recession, experts predict country's wealth, misspelled, to restabilize, and budgets to increase. Are you saying that now we do care about drug resistance? Is that what you're trying to do to me? If so, that's very mean. But you know what? Get infected! Whatever. Yeah, I guess, I mean, even though it is the French Republic, technically speaking, it is also an empire. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. At this time period, France still definitely had a lot of imperialistic and colonial territories. So, I mean, like, just because you have a democratic form of government doesn't mean you're not an empire. It just means you're a democratic empire, right? Is that correct? Is that technically correct? Or is it required that you have an authoritarian / dictatorial monarchic system in order to be an empire? If I don't call my leader an emperor, am I really an empire? I guess is my question. And I have no idea if that's actually true. Do we want to go for things like the bird transmission and stuff? I think, yeah, a level of that would probably help in some places just to kind of get things going. But from there, I don't know. Do we even care about getting more air transmission? There's not going to be nearly as many airports because it's not like air travel was really that commonplace in 1939. But water travel would make a lot of sense. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm curious if the developer increased water travel in order to kind of make things up for the loss elsewhere. Maybe, maybe not. So do we want to go for a level of drug resistance? I think I do want to get one, and then we'll also grab things like pneumonia and hypersensitivity. That probably carries me the rest of the way of what I care about. From there, probably who cares? Could go for things like some nausea and stuff, but I'm already playing it kind of fast and loose with my severity, and I'm very concerned about our ability to get in the boats to places I need, so I'm not going to mess with that. Let's try not to go too hard on other things. Do I want to go for extreme bioaerosol if I'm not going to rely on mutation chance, though? That's a good question. I think I will. I think that the extreme bioaerosol might be our best way. We have to find ways of getting on boats. We just have to. And there's not going to be other ways provided to us to get the water transmission, unfortunately, because there's really no symptoms that increase water transmission. You got a lot of other things, but not so much the symptoms, so that's going to be what it's going to be. Let's go for a couple level of the cold resistance, just so we can spread faster in the Russian Socialist Soviet Republic. Blah, blah. Even saying it makes me angry. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. So we're in Australia. What are we missing here? Obviously, the big islands I'm worried about, Japan, Greenland, blah, 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 Caribbean. We're in the United States. United States being wealthy could be a problem. Maybe we do still need to go for drug resistance. Japanese empire is considered wealthy. Really? I mean, okay. I will do it. I will pick up the drug resistance. I probably don't strictly need it on this particular run. I probably don't, but we should be getting enough DNA that I'm not as worried about it. Maybe one level of the world transmission would be good. We could go for the birds, but that's kind of spending a lot of DNA I'd like to be saving. Could go for some paralysis. I wonder how much the cure has been affected here, because it's not like nations were as technologically advanced or as wealthy as they are today. We got into Greenland surprisingly fast out of, did I just see the British Empire go there? Okay, so I think there are new routes. That's good. That's actually very good. I'm glad to see that. Very glad to see that. Let's go for a level of genetic hardening. We could go for a second, but I'm just going to buy myself a little score on that one. So we got a New Zealand. We're missing the Caribbean and Danish Iceland. Oh, it's Danish. Because, right, it's not exactly independent now, is it? Danish Greenland. Yeah, everyone forgets that Denmark is still kind of an empire. They got their colonies over. I mean, no one forgets it now. I mean, after it made, like, national news and all that. But you get the point. You get the point. So Mexico and the U.S. are usually the ones that are connected to the Caribbean. So I'm hoping they're going to get some boats over there, but they need to take off a little bit faster than this. Let's go for a level of bacterial resilience. I mean, we could go for some rodents just to try and speed things up in the U.S. I don't love it, but I will. Let's go ahead and do that, just trying to get a little bit faster. All right, so now it's Iceland. What gets into Iceland? Do we see any boats going in there? I saw one come from Norway. So can Norway... Yep, there we go. All right, we got it. That's all I wanted to see. Necrosis. Now it's time to kill everyone. It's 1938 still, by the way. So World War II has still not begun, and almost the entire world has been infected by my glorious bacteria. You're all paranoid now. This explains what happens in World War II. Let's work toward things like paralysis and coma just to slow down the cure. And that just got a little bit more expensive. There we go. Grab this. Japanese empire begins to break down. Oh, good. China breathes a sigh of relief. That's going to be good. I'm very behind in my lethality right now, unfortunately, and that's going to cause a problem because they're going to be curing me very quickly, and I am not getting a lot when it comes to DNA from killing. My lethality is simply not high enough right now. In fact, I'm getting very, very little when it comes to lethality. Hold on, what's going on? Why is this bad? I mean, this should be killing a little faster than this, I would have thought. Huh. No healthy people left in the world. So our timing on this was off? Yeah, we should have gone for the necrosis a lot sooner and trusted we could have gotten into the islands. We're gonna lose here because we're simply not killing fast enough, and I'm getting no DNA from lethality here. Look at this. Like, I should be getting something here, right? Oh, that's a problem if so. Did that get disabled? It might have been. If that got disabled, I'm actually fricked, because you desperately do need to rely on your lethality to give you the last bit of gas to go for things like the coma, like for a genetic reshuffle, like the total organ failure, and so on, and we're not getting that. All right, so I have to go for lethality a lot faster. Let me go ahead and try the exact same basic strategy, but we're going to have to time the necrosis sooner and then pray we get into the right islands, and then save some of that gas instead of going for things that slow down the cure. Instead, we can go for things that are just going to boost up my lethality, because we did fine on infection, but not so much anything else. Also, by the way, some events need to be disabled in this. We just got the British referendum. There is no EU at this point, guys. There is no referendum. Go ahead and shut that off. Get back in your cage, British! You're gonna be European, and you're gonna like it! I will go for a little bit of insomnia and paranoia earlier than usual this time around, just to maybe delay that cure and buy me a little bit more time and more buffer in the timing of the necrosis and lethality. It might work, it might not, but we gotta try. Oh, but this time the French economic recovery fails! Ha ha! Sucks to be French. Alright, this time I think I'm gonna go ahead and grab that necrosis immediately, grab the coma before we infect too much more. We got into Iceland, got into Greenland, we're missing Sweden. Hey! The timing actually worked out. There we go! That's everybody in now. Alright, 46 points to get to things like total organ failure is probably my next goal. Go ahead and pick that up. Alright, so as long as the necrosis does its job, the timing of this one works a lot better. Maybe the reason we are succeeding is because the French failed in their economic recovery. Were they the primary leaders of the research against my bacterium? I have no idea. But don't worry about World War II, everybody. The world will be dead long before that becomes a problem. Now they're all insane. Now the lethality actually is working. Okay, so now we are getting DNA. So no, it was not disabled. I'm not sure why we weren't getting any DNA last time around. It does happen sometimes, and I think that, you know, maybe it's one of those things where I was killing enough in quantity, but not fast enough to get the extra DNA. I'm not too sure. Regardless, obviously, we messed up the timing of this last time, and we did pay for it as a result. We need 31 DNA to grab our last genetic reshuffle and buy a tiny little bit more score, which I'd love to do, but I don't think we're going to get one more point unless we get a bubble right now. Come on, pop. Dang you all. There you are. I knew the second I complained it was gonna work. And everyone's dead. It is March of 1939. Just in time. That's a 2-star victory somehow, though. 444 days, 30% cure progress, 55,549 points. It's a pretty good scenario. I actually like the idea of just keeping the Earth map, but reworking a few things like all the transportation routes and the country's modifiers, so you have to change up your strategy and read the world in a different way. That's kind of cool. You know? I like it. I like it a lot. Now, maybe there's a couple other things that could be tuned in terms like drug resistance and stuff, but I really don't think there's much that needs to be done. It's a pretty good way of doing a scenario that I would say has like minimal customization in terms of like, you don't have to change up any transmission symptoms and so on, but just changing the setting, the environment in which you play, it is almost like playing a fully customized scenario. That's a clever way of getting a pretty good scenario without too much effort. That said though, let's not pretend that this didn't take some serious effort. I mean, if every single country in the world got reworked and all the routes revised, like that is a pretty substantial effort too. So I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say, it doesn't require as much creativity. There we go. It doesn't take as much originality, but it's still a very compelling scenario. Well done, in my opinion. This is good. We need more things like this. More things like this. Also, any scenario that's Plague Inc. but tends to be an easy win for me because everyone's interested in watching videos on those. Thank you all very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If so, I'd ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, hit that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.